Great news for the Eagles.
I'm back.
While in Dallas, they're all out of chickens. Let the meltdowns begin.
It makes it hard for some of these guys to come.
Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, kick Dingbat here, and finally, I've waited all season, but Quinyon Mitchell finally linked to the Eagles, and I love it. Yes, Howie Roseman is listening to Philly 500 Future Eagles news today, as Quinyon Mitchell could be the Eagles' target in round one. And we're going to talk about that and so much more. But before we do that, I want to thank everybody that was in my live stream earlier that called into the show. We will be live again tomorrow, as well as Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It is going to be a busy week, so look for that. Now, the first thing we got to talk about is the news that we got today, and that was involving our boy Isaiah Rodgers. A lot of us have been waiting for Isaiah Rodgers to be reinstated, and finally today he was. Jeff McClain wrote this: NFL reinstated Pound Eagles cornerback Isaiah Rodgers a week after several other players who were suspended for the 2023 season for violating the NFL's gambling policies were reinstated. He may participate in all team activities effective immediately. So the question is this: why did it take an extra week? I feel like the NFL wants us. I think they want us to have to suffer. So maybe that's what it was. But here is what Isaiah Rodgers had to say when he found out he was coming back to the NFL.
I'm back.
So congratulations to Isaiah Rodgers on coming back to the NFL. And for the Eagles, this is just like adding another player in free agency. We just added ourselves a very, very good cornerback. And so, yes, today the Eagles have gotten better again. And we'll see if this plays any factor in what the Eagles do in the draft. That's going to be very, very interesting. But I think we're sitting pretty right now. I think we have done a ton in free agency. And now if we go in and we kill the draft, I mean, we're set to go. It could be worse. It could always be worse. You could be a Dallas Cowboy fan. And let me tell you, when I was streaming earlier today, and towards the end of the stream, people were saying, did you see what happened to Mark Holmes? Did you see what happened to Mark Holmes? This guy is losing his mind. He is losing it. I mean, just think about this. From, before that Green Bay playoff game when he was looking at Super Bowl tickets. Looking at Super Bowl tickets. What a dingbat. But he was looking at Super Bowl tickets because he thought his Cowboys were going to go. So here's a guy that looks for Super Bowl tickets. Then they play Green Bay. They get destroyed by Green Bay. And his entire offseason, and I swear, go look at his videos, go look at the titles. His entire offseason has been one thing. It's just been about one thing. And what is that? It's been all about making excuses for Dak Prescott. He can directly do a video about it. He does it indirectly. But every video is basically why it's not Dak Prescott's fault. You got to give him talent. It's everybody else. And the truth of the matter is, he knows Jerry Jones is setting up Dak Prescott for the collapse. He is setting up all the blame on Dak because he wants him out of there. And Mark Holmes isn't going to make it through next year. I mean, I didn't think he was going to make it last year, but he's losing his mind. I mean, he's having complete epic meltdowns, and we're in April. We're not even at the draft. This isn't even a draft day. He went off and lost his mind today during a press conference. A press conference of babbling Jerry Jones, 9,782 years old. Happy birthday, it's Jerry Jones' birthday. 9,783 years old. He's crying about something a guy that's 9,784 years old said. I mean, who cares? I don't care what a 9,785-year-old guy says. But Mark completely lost his mind. He's not going to make it through the year. He knows his days are numbered. He knows the Cowboys' days are numbered. Look, just watch this. Watch this. And love this. This is masterful, epic, and forever will be used against him.
10 players getting 70% of the money. So you've got to have youth, and you've got to have those players that fill in if you look at it across the league.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity.
Pardon me for a
these
second.
young people, whether it's the draft, coming in here without having, which we've done at times in the past when we obviously brought in a Cooks and we bring in a Gilmore. It makes it hard for some of these guys to come in and play and beat those guys out. Obviously, there's going to be some opportunities. And, we do have some guys who didn't play for us last year. An Overshown, a John Stevens, who was on his way to making this team before he tore his ACL. You have a Diggs who you didn't get to play. You didn't see play but a couple of games last year, so we're going to have him back. There's a lot of different moving parts that we didn't have that were a part of this team in addition to the draft. And, of course, when we make these draft picks, they're going to have a great opportunity.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, the guy is losing his mind over what Jerry Jones is saying about going into the draft. Of course Jerry Jones is going to build up the draft. He's got no choice. He's done nothing in free agency. What do you expect? He doesn't even want to pick players. The league is mandating that the Cowboys draft players. That's why they give him draft picks. It got so bad in Dallas that the NFL has to mandate and force them to take players. It's that bad. So I'm glad I'm not him. I wouldn't want to be the Dallas Cowboys. Remember, no matter how bad things get or we think things get, it could always be worse. You could always be a Dallas Cowboy fan. That we are not. We are not. Now, I want to talk about this latest rumor. Now, this is something that I am completely happy and excited about. Another thing that came out towards the end of my stream today, so I really didn't get a chance to talk about it. But to me, this is huge. I have made no bones about it. I have been talking about this all season when it comes to the draft. That the number one guy I would like for the Eagles to draft if I had a choice. And there's a lot of guys that I don't mind. So I'm not saying it's do or die that it has to be this guy, but the guy that I obviously have wanted more than anybody is Quinyon Mitchell. Okay? And now we're getting rumors that the Eagles are trying to trade up to get him. Philadelphia Eagles Central wrote this, and thank you to everybody that sent me a DM. There was quite a few of you guys, so I appreciate it. But here's what they said. Rumors. The Pound Eagles, not hashtag Pound, are speaking with the Pound Broncos about trading up to pick number 12 and selecting Toledo cornerback Quinyon Mitchell, says Tony Pauline. Now, I think that Quinyon Mitchell has got the potential and the upside to be a star in the NFL. That doesn't necessarily mean he will, but I think he's got that potential. Now, one of the things that people talk about is that he played in Toledo. The competition wasn't as good as, let's say, a guy like Terrion Arnold or somebody like that. But I still think Quinyon Mitchell is the best corner in this draft. And I don't think I'm not saying it's by a ton. I think him and Arnold are fairly close. But I have Mitchell ahead of him, and I think Mitchell with the right team, I think he could develop into a stud. So it's very cool that I'm hearing that the Eagles are actually interested in this guy. I like it. I think it would be a great move. I think it would be a smart move. The question is this. There's two things I have to say. One, you're trying to get up to 12 to pick him. I was thinking you'd have to get to 15 or 16. That means that this kid's probably going within the top 13 or 14 picks. What would you have to give up to get to 12? That's going to be the situation, because I don't know if I want to go up and get him at the cost of a second round pick. Okay, I like the kid. But I also like Arnold. I like Kool-Aid. I like Cooper DeJean, even though I don't see him as a corner. But there's other guys I like. I don't think the gap between Quinyon Mitchell and Arnold are so big that you necessarily need to go up to 12 to get Quinyon Mitchell. See, I don't want to give up a second-round pick because I'm afraid that to go from 22 to 12, 10 spots, I feel like you're going to need to give up one of those second-round picks. You don't have a third-round pick to give. Can you do it with a fourth and a fifth? Something like that? I don't want to see the Eagles use one of those second-round picks to get up to get Mitchell. I don't. I would rather take the chance that he falls to 16 or something like that. Now, I like Mitchell. He would be my number one target in the draft. I think he could start. I think he could start right away. And like I said, I would love to draft him. But I don't know that I can do it at the expense of one of those second-round picks. I really think, if you could get Quinyon Mitchell and keep those 2 second-round picks now I'm in. I'm game for that. I don't care if you have to give a future pick next year. That's fine. But just this year, I don't know. See, you let's say you get Quinyon Mitchell at 12 and you can keep both your second-round picks. Well, then you get Mitchell at 12. I think you come back, you take a linebacker and a wide receiver with your next 2 picks. And I think you're good to go. Quinyon Mitchell, to me, starts right away. Terry Arnold starts right away. So you're getting an immediate starter. The other thing we have to consider about this rumor is that it could be a complete and utter smokescreen. And the reason I say that is because up until Monday, which is yesterday, we haven't heard much about cornerback at all. We heard a little bit, and we know Kool-Aid came in. We know that Arnold had a spectacular interview with the Eagles. And I'm going to be honest with you, by the way, I still think, if I had to personally guess, I think the Eagles probably like Arnold more than Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell is my guy, but like I said, I don't think the difference between the two are that great. But I do have Quinyon Mitchell ranked higher. So this could be a potential smokescreen. This could be a situation where you're starting to talk about Arnold. You're starting to talk about Mitchell. And the reason you're doing that is because you want to trade up to get a offensive lineman. You don't want teams to know that's what you're looking for. So this could be a situation where it's a total smokescreen. The other thing that's interesting about this is the Broncos are all of a sudden trying to trade back and not trade up. Do they really believe that Zach Wilson is the guy for them? Do they really believe that solved their quarterback situation? Now they don't want to trade up? Because if that's the case, then you could forget Surtain being shopped around. I almost, in some respects, I'd rather just trade my 22nd, trade like a 22nd and like a 5th round pick this year and a 5th round pick next year and get Patrick Surtain. Something like that. I don't mind that either. But for the Eagles to go up to 12 for Quinyon Mitchell probably involves one of your second-round picks. That's what worries me. Overall, though, if we could come away with Quinyon Mitchell and keep both second-round picks, I would do this in a second. I love Quinyon Mitchell. I think he's a player, man. I think he is a player. I don't want to compare him to who I think he looks like because I'm not saying it. But he does remind me, just in his demeanor, just in the way he plays, his build, he gives me Sauce Gardner vibes. I'm just saying. I'm not saying he's Sauce Gardner. I'm not saying he's on that level. I'm just saying he gives me that kind of vibe and that kind of feel. So I would love a Quinyon Mitchell, but it's going to be interesting. We are going to see what happens. Just a reminder, I will be streaming live tomorrow as well. So look for that. Should be a lot of fun. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat, and remember, it's Howie Vision, baby. We're all just living in it. Okay, so I almost forgot. This whole tampering thing with the Giants, it's a bunch of crap. And you know what? We knew this was happening, and the NFL was investigating it. For those that don't know, the Eagles were being investigated because the coach, I think it was Penn State, he said that Barkley told him that he had talked to the Eagles before the Eagles were legally allowed to talk to Saquon Barkley. Now, when asked Barkley about it, Barkley said, no, that wasn't the case. I didn't talk to the Eagles. I told him that my representation talked to the Eagles, and the way it came out and the way he said it was that it was me, but it wasn't me. I never did. So this is really a dead issue anyways. Nothing's going to come of it. But for the Giant fans who thought they were getting a first-round pick this year for it, it ain't happening because the investigation is not even going to be over before the draft. So all the Eagles picks this year will be intact, and I assume that they will next year because I think this is a big non-story. Denzel Washington, out.